Hello and welcome back. I'm Professor LaRue, and today we're reviewing Module 3 of Business Communications from the Saylor Academy book. In reviewing Module 3, they talk about, in this module, more about self-awareness and understanding your audience. Module 3 starts by talking about self-understanding and how important that is to help you communicate your message to others. So learning how your perspective influences your thoughts is a key step in understanding yourself. Now, there is a quick example about that I can share about scuba diving, which I learned to do back in college, and I've enjoyed it over the years, and I wanted my daughters to learn how to do it as well. But it turns out that my perspective and my learning experience was completely different from theirs, and they decided to take up surfing instead, stay above water as opposed to going underwater. And so my perspective ended up being totally different, even though we came from the same background, same family. The next part of the module talks about self-concepts. And this is much of what we know about ourselves actually comes from interaction with others, whether that's criticism or maybe appreciation for something that we're good at. So the book suggests to remain flexible, which is something that we do really well. So if others have told you in the past that your speaking in public capabilities weren't good enough, it is a learned behavior and you can become better. I have told this story in the past that when I first came to the United States, I barely knew English and I spoke very little at that time, mainly because I was embarrassed of saying the wrong thing or just not having enough vocabulary at the time. However, in time, I saw that people with strong accents were being heard, they were succeeding, and so I thought I could do the same. And by the time I was in college, my accent became interesting and oftentimes a topic of conversation. So I went along with it and got better over time and then began speaking publicly. So if I could do it, you can do it too. Now, the module then also talks about attributes, beliefs, and values, and there is a helpful YouTube that talks about this in more detail called Values, Beliefs, and Attributes by T. Junction that you might want to check out to learn more about how important these things, these aspects are in communication. Now, the module also talks about the fulfilling prophecy. And this self-fulfilling prophecy is mainly when someone's behavior matches or mirrors others' expectations. And there are 4 principles that apply here. The book talks about we form certain expectations of people or events. We communicate those expectations with various cues. Also, people tend to respond to these cues by adjusting their behavior to match that expectation. And finally, the outcome is that original expectation becomes a reality. So take a moment to write 3 strongly held beliefs that you might have. What are they based on? Where did you learn them? And maybe write a quick paragraph on how you feel about these beliefs. The module then talks about perception, which is broken down into 3 different areas: selection, and that's you have heard often talk about hearing, but not necessarily choosing to listen. So this is referred to as selective listening, which we often do. Organization is the other area of perception that we talk about, and we can make it unique, an interesting message to the audience depending on how we organize our material that we're going to present, and that becomes extremely important. And finally, interpretation. So you associate the meaning to the words based on past experiences that you might have had. So take a moment to think of a time when you jumped to a conclusion and then learned it was you were incorrect, and then write a quick paragraph about that experience. So I had an experience of one summer when I went to work in Switzerland, and my first assumption was that the people that I was working with just didn't like me. And every time they reprimanded me or taught me something, I thought these people just hate me and they want me gone. But over the summer, I became really close friends with them, and they became like family to me. They made me promise to go back and visit them when I went back to the U.S. And so my perception at the beginning was completely wrong, and I was young at the time. I didn't know any better. I thought I just didn't fit in, but it turned out that they were great people to work with. It's just my initial perception was completely different from the expectation. And then the module goes on to talk about differences in perception, so seeing eye to eye, individual differences in perception, also your cultural background and how that shapes your perception. So think of a time when someone misunderstood your message, and how did you react or help correct the message you were trying to get across. So write a quick paragraph that might help you understand that better. And the next topic in this module was getting to know your audience, which is extremely important. And there is a good YouTube on this you might want to check out, called Knowing Your Audience by Toastmasters International, that you might want to become familiar with and listen. It's just a few minutes long. Finally, listening and reading for understanding. Active listening is so important, and we often don't do it enough, even if we have the tools to do it. So I strongly encourage you to actively listen. And some tips for this are maintaining eye contact with the speaker, don't interrupt, focus your attention on the message, restate the message in your own words, and ask clarifying questions to indicate to the speaker that you are engaged and listening to the message. So that's it for this module. We'll see you back for the next module. So have a great day.